Hello, Morgan. It's time we spoke. My code name is January. You're not dreaming. What happened yesterday was real. If you want to know what's going on, first, you need to get out of your apartment building.
Recently, we got a chance to visit Bethesda in London and take a look at Prey, which is planned for a May release. The newest game from Arkane Studios is brimming with atmosphere, has great level design and a captivating world that'll interest any fan of games like BioShock or the cult classic System Shock. Here's everything we've learned from an hour spent with the game's protagonist, Morgan Yu. The first levels of the new Prey aren't that action-heavy as it would initially seem. The game is supposed to be a first-person action title with a huge emphasis on narrative and survival, and the chunk of the game we got to play proves that Prey will be anything but your typical shooter. The first hour of the game is focused on immersing the players in the hostile setting that is the Talos research facility. Creepy labs, sterile offices, and long hallways made up a large part of what we have seen, instantly bringing to mind System Shock and its unique atmosphere. Every level seems to serve some purpose and every room seems to have been thoroughly planned out by the developers. Like in BioShock, the game greatly relies on what some call environmental storytelling, where instead of dull collectibles, you will hunt down audio logs or texts and such that make the setting as much a character as the game's protagonist. It is through such means that we learn more about what actually happened on the station, and we get to know the alternate timeline of Prey's universe, where US and the Soviet Union focused more on their respective space programs. For example, one of such collectibles contained information about the failed assassination attempt of President Kennedy, which we all know was in actuality quite successful. Trying to check out every single room and browse through every single email doesn't seem to have any direct benefits as far as gameplay is concerned, but is greatly satisfying on its own. And to be completely honest with you guys, it's been a while since I had so much fun reading in a game.
In a moment, I'm going to ask you what... my coffee. It's empty.
The meticulously crafted world not only sounds great on paper, but it also looks great, at least in terms of the artistic direction. If you ever played any Arkane Studios games, be it Dark Messiah or Dishonored, you probably know that they aren't technological benchmarks, but they always have this original feeling and an unforgettable art style, and that is the case with Prey. While the art style got me hooked, I have encountered some performance issues, like textures and shadows loading after time, but that is to be expected from a yet unpolished version of the game. The design of our enemies also has to be complimented on, and I'm not talking here about their looks, but their abilities. The shape-shifting mimics I've encountered in the demo quickly got me scared to such an extent that I was frantically breaking every possible mug or chair with my wrench just to be safe after entering a new room. While the second enemy type encountered in the demo, the Phantom, can move with inhuman speed and makes for some unpredictable, fast-paced showdowns. Fighting aliens is even more challenging than it would seem at first because we're on a research station after all, and ammo or conventional weapons aren't easy to come by during exploration. The developers use that fact to their advantage and force us to think outside the box. During the Gamescom presentation of Prey, we saw the protagonist dispose of opposing robots with a recycling grenade of sorts that was pulling towards its surrounding elements. In the demo, I got to experiment with yet another unconventional weapon, the so-called glue gun, which, as you might have guessed, shoots out a glue-like sticky goo. This original tool not only can be used to slow down enemies, but it also comes into play in terms of exploring and enriching hidden areas by making makeshift stairs from the solidified goo. There are much more creative ways to fight for our survival apart from those and some alien abilities we'll acquire, but as the demo was only 1 hour long, I didn't get to experiment with them firsthand. I also didn't get a chance to test out the character progression, which along with some choices and some level of character creation will make our playthrough stand out. It is worth pointing out that we will be able to pick Morgan's gender, while the set character progression will be allowed by neuromods scattered across the station in small amounts. The mods themselves will allow us to possess some abilities of our enemies, so if we so choose, we'll be able to shapeshift into a coffee mug, just like the vicious mimics. Right now, I'm under the impression that due to a small amount of neuromods, we won't be able to try out all the abilities in one playthrough, which will surely add some replayability, and on the other hand, consequence to our picks.
The question is, why? I'm not gonna let what I have to say next.
Fans of the original Prey from 2006 and those eagerly awaiting the promising yet sadly cancelled Prey 2 might feel heartbroken hearing that the new game is a fully fledged reboot. The game's feel, the atmosphere, and the gameplay itself are after all a far cry from what we experienced as a Native American hero imprisoned on an alien ship back in the day. And honestly, all we can hope for are at best at least some Easter eggs or references to the original. Nevertheless, as you can gather from my first impressions, the series' relaunch isn't a bad thing. Quite contrary, the new Prey seems to be making the best of the new gameplay direction and concepts laid down by Arkane Studio. The emphasis on exploration and atmosphere building work really well in practice, and if you're a fan of games like Alien Isolation or the aforementioned System Shock, then just like me, you'll fall in love with this game. The lesser emphasis on combat might drive some potential customers away, but those who are keen on such ideas as those seen in the new game will feel quite satisfied. All that remains for us is to hope that Arkane can iron out some technical hiccups and wait for the May release, when we'll get to fully take in this chilling tale full of smashing coffee mugs and fear of shape-shifting aliens. As always, keep it here at GamePressure, my name is Jordan, and I'll see you soon.